This is the ADM overview of the EFR. EFR stands for Electric Fixed Ratio. As you see right now, the unit is inactive, and my icons over here are grayed out except for one. This one here will actually open up the dispense valve in order to relieve the pressure in the lines. This is if you have a high pressure alarm. All the other ones will become blue once the unit is inactive. The first icon over here is for the priming of the unit. This one will park the pumps. Of course, we can still open up the dispense valve to relieve pressure. And then from here is my purge unit. We're now going to discuss our sequence or shot sizes. So in order to create a sequence or shot size, I need to go into the setup mode. From here, if you notice, one of the big differences is all my icons are all on one page. We do not have the chapters across the top. So in order to create a shot size or a sequence, I can go into sequence definition. From here, I can go in here. The first icon is if I want to activate that shot size from an external source where I need to receive a signal, I can place an X there. From here, I can enter in a flow rate and then scroll over for my shot size. Now I can also scroll over and I can change it from cc's to grams or to seconds. If you notice, we also have a calibration, so if we finally want to tune in my shot size, I can do so. If you notice, if I change this to time, my calibration disappears. Now, if I want to insert a line before shot size number 1, press this button. Now I actually created a sequence. So it'd be shot size number 1, shot size number 2. Now, as long as I come down to number 2, and if I want to insert a line afterwards, I can press this button. So if you notice, I can actually add lines, or what I can do if I want to remove them, come down and delete the shot sizes. So right now, this is for shot size number 1. It only has one shot size, so it acts as a shot size. From here, I can back out. I can go down to page 2. And if you want to name that sequence number 1 or shot size number 1, I can just put in the name. I will call it G for right now, and then back out. From here, I can come down to number 2, press enter, and let's call that H. Okay. Now when I go back, since I'm still highlighted on number 2, when I go down to page number 1, if you notice number 2 is here with an H. Now I can create another shot size or sequence for that folder. From this page, we're going to talk about the setup screen. So I'm going to enter the setup screen. And then from here, we can actually change our dispense mode from volume to weight, rate units to minutes, seconds, or hour, pressure units to PSI or bar, and then I can also turn on my pressure imbalance alarm. So I'm going to turn that on and set my pressure balance alarm for 450 PSI. From here are pump lines. As of now, we only offer the Z pumps, but we could be changing this in the future. And then we also have to put the size of pumps that we have on the unit and the specific gravity of the material. This will be very important if I select weight mode up here, because that's how we're going to convert volume over to weight. From here, I'm going to go down to page 2. And then we can actually have a gel timer. So if active sequence is selected, what that means is if I go back to the home button, it's actually going to purge out the amount of material on this sequence number 2. Now, I'm going to leave this at sequence number 2, but then I can also purge at a different shot size or sequence. So right now I'm going to select program number 1. So back in my home screen, I'll be running program number 2, but when it purges, when it purges, it will purge program number 1. From here, I can go in and turn it on or enable it. Idle time means the time of when it's non-dispensing, when it counts down. Alarm will be the amount of seconds the alarm will sound off before it dispenses. And then repeat. So we can actually have program number 1 repeat itself until it hits a certain amount of material. So in this case, if I put 20 cc's, it's going to continuously repeat itself until it hits 20 cc's. Pressure preset, that is going to be related to my prime button up here. So once again, I'm still in shot size or program number 2. And if I go back into my setup mode, right now in active sequence, if I hit the prime button, it's going to run the active sequence that is on the home page. Once again, if I want a different prime rate or shot size, I can select number 1. So currently it's going to prime at program number 1 here. And once again, I can program in a shot size so it primes up to 50 cc's, which is what I have entered here. As you see, we are still in the setup mode back in the index page that shows all the icons here. So we're going to run through all these additional icons. So the first one is the advanced page. This is our standard language, date, and time. I can go down to page 2. This is how we can actually upgrade software. So now instead of requiring a black token that needs to be shipped out, we can email you the GTI file and you can download the software off of that. Please refer to the manual on the process for that. Now if you notice, we can still scroll across to like the maintenance button, the shot log, events, but all these chapters still refer to these icons here. So we start out with the advanced, and then let's go into maintenance. The maintenance, what it does is it keeps track of the A and B cycles, the number of times the dispense valve has opened. Here we can actually jog the pumps forwards or backwards. This button here is for the calibration of the board, motor board. This only needs to be done when you place a new board into the motor there. From here, let's go to shot log. This just is the information that is recorded when we complete a shot. Our standard events, errors, and then integration. So from here we can actually see when we're getting inputs into the unit from a PLC, and we can also see when we are sending outputs. So from here I'm going to go down to page number 2. We're going to also see if we have CGM. We can see all our address information here. Same way with page 3. And then if I scroll over to sequence, we were back on our sequence button here. Once again, if I press the X button, we're back on my main index screen. So if I want to go right to my integration screen, I don't have to scroll over. I just press this button and there is my integration screen. Let's again, if I go back, if I need to look at my shot log, press this button, and there is my shot log. I'm going to take just a few seconds to explain a little bit more in depth on this activation right here. So as of right now, if you notice, I placed an X right there. I'm going to go back to my run screen. If you notice, I still have program number 1 up here called G. And if I enter the page, I have a play button here. Now I have to start the sequence first, and then from here, I either have to push a foot pedal or press the button again to activate it. So as you see, it's dispensing right now, and then it stops. Now once again, I have to press it twice from the screen here. One to activate it, and then press the start button again, or press the foot pedal. Now, if I go back into my sequence definition, and if I remove the X, go back home. From here, once again, I have to jump into the page. Once I hit the button one time, it automatically starts dispensing. Now, please note that once the X has been removed, if you notice, there is no X here, so your foot pedal has been turned off or deactivated. Okay, so let's review. So once again, we are back on my home screen here. So this button here, once again, that is my prime button, and that is going to refer to this screen. So if I go into my setup screen, and then I go into my setup, I go to page 2, and so right now I have pressure preset, which is also my prime, is program number 1. Now once again, I can actually select a different program. I can go to 2, or if I go to active sequence, that means the program that I have on the run screen, that's the one it's going to activate off of. Once again, this is my shot size. So active screen or active sequence is going to refer to that I'm going to be running off of number 1 here. Once again, we have park, we have depressurization, so this will open up my valve. And then if I want to purge, I can also purge here. Now, once again, if I can enter in a certain amount of cc's a minute. So if I put 20 cc's a minute, and then once again, I can go ahead and dispense and then manually turn off. While we're here, once again, to review, this is to start my sequence. So I'm going to actually activate it. If you notice, it went ahead and started to dispense automatically. And reason is if I go back into my sequence definition, there is no X. Once again, if I have an X here, back out, go home, jump into the screen. Once again, I have to initialize the sequence and press it again to start. Once again, when the unit, every time it stops dispensing, I have to press this button twice. So I can either pause the button or stop it. There's pause, and then I can resume. So once again, this is the overview of the ADM for the EFR. This is in the preliminary stages, so I'm sure there will be changes to the ADM and screens that will take place after this. So hopefully this will get you started.